Everybody, welcome to your August new moon on the 23rd. I am Jean. I am an intuitive and teacher. I work one-on-one with clients, and in my Remembering Portal membership, I provide many tools for the path of ascension and awakening. And I do still have a few spots open for the Ascension Chamber tier, where you have a session with me every month for 30 minutes as I'm connecting with your higher team, helping you connect. So there's lots and lots of resources there. So I'm discussing the second half of August as well, and I'm weaving together both the tropical and the sidereal zodiac. Why do I do that? It's more nuanced, and I feel the sidereal energy more strongly than the tropical, but a personal preference, or as I describe it, the sidereal for me is more attuned cosmically, and the tropical more based in the form of things, the third dimensional and the earth energy, and they both work. I think of them kind of like two instruments playing the same song, and each one is adding its own tone. So on August 23rd, we are heading this Saturday into a real reset, but it's not a quiet one because Uranus is in the mix, shaking us out of our usual patterns and nudging us towards something that feels more genuine, actually. And from the 18th in sidereal astrology, the sun is now in Leo as of this past Monday. So we're moving out of that heavy Cancerian energy that many people have been feeling with the family and processing home and security themes and family themes, business themes as well. And, this is a strong and expressive, the Leo energy. And it's asking us to remain centered in our heart. This continues until September 18th, so it's a reminder to stay rooted in love and self-respect. In the tropical chart, the sun shifts into Virgo on the 22nd for 4 weeks, and that shift is about refining and organizing your routines, your work, and the practical details that make your life run smoother, the engine humming in the background. Think of it like moving from the spotlight of Leo to the workshop of Virgo. So it's time to fine tune the craft, the products, the service, the health. And we are also seeing an easing of this Saturn-Neptune conjunction that has been running pretty exact in the sidereal in Pisces since July, and it's starting to ease a bit as we move into the second half of August. It begins to loosen and stay a little bit lighter through the rest of the year. And remember, this meeting of structure, Saturn, and disillusion, vision, Neptune, has been tied to endings and sometimes literal loss. In Pisces, in the sidereal, it is an emptying out time and the completion of long-standing patterns in personal identity and core self-belief, as this conjunction perfected in Aries in the tropical chart. So it's the ending and the releasing of core reference points, personal reference points that are changing how you see yourself, emanating and directing energy out into your world as well. And in the sidereal chart, it's really clearing out the past in a big way, especially old emotional attachments. One client shared she'd been holding on to objects and even rituals tied to a relationship that has long been over. And as this energy, the Saturn Neptune, was pressing in upon her, she felt the nudge to let them go. It came just quite authentically, not from anger, but from a quiet knowing that it was time. It was just time. And afterward, she said her home felt bigger and more spacious, and her energy felt lighter. So that's the theme here. The hardest part of letting go is already behind you in some respects. Now there's room to imagine what comes next, what can fill that spaciousness. And then we have the new moon, Saturday, August 23rd. And in the tropical chart, this is at 0 degrees of Virgo. So this is a initiating, getting organized in your habits and your health and your routines. And it is squaring Uranus in Gemini, the sign of the mind, higher consciousness, disruptions, technology, and plans. So there may be a disruption of plans through here, or surprise news, or of course tech issues, or an unexpected change in your path. But it's really a prompt to adapt and shift your thinking, shift how and where you allocate your resources of time, of talents, of, yes, perhaps even financial resources. And in the sidereal chart, the new moon is occurring at 6 degrees of Leo, squaring Uranus and Taurus. And I see the Uranus and Taurus transit as embodying ascension, embodying those wider dimensions so that you can use them, that they are part of your day-to-day system and operation. But this shakeup hits creative identity and values. And this can start changes in how you measure your own value and worth too. Both views show a shift, change, possibly a disruption that clears the way actually for better alignment. And sometimes the detour actually turns out to be the real path. And this is going to be echoing into the full moon total lunar eclipse, every eclipse, total lunar eclipse this year, that perfects on September 7th. We don't have a square to Uranus, but the eclipse will be touching Uranus as it is stationing retrograde, which always means it is amplifying the energy and the archetypes of those bigger generational planets. And, breaking down Uranus, what is that? AI. We are seeing songs can be written, all kinds of content generated through the use of this. So this is why discernment is so important. I was posting some guide channelings, and someone said, stop using AI. This is not AI generated. I'm in AI free zone, although I use AI to edit my grammar, my sentence structure, hanging participles. I'm an English teacher's daughter, and so I'm very sensitive about the structure of my content. And I also use AI to generate images. It's great for creating slides. And finally, I use AI. I can dump 200 pages of channeled content and have IA parse through it and extract information in the way I program or tell it to. So I think it will be harder for many to say they are completely AI free. It's interwoven in a lot of our systems now, but I am an AI free content generating zone here. I have way too much creativity. I don't need to look to machine language programming for it. And Uranus is also speaking to aliens, and we are seeing this as a theme with the A130 object in the sky that's almost about 6 miles long. As I was tuning into that the other day, my guides brought in ancient, they called them wayward travelers. And, they were telling me they've been around a long, long time. And they're using some kind of shielding. They're not actually a big rock or a comet. That's just cover, because they travel around and explore. They're explorers, and they use the energy that they encounter, like gravitation and other waves, to fuel their craft to even fuel themselves. I wasn't tuning into actual beings. It was more of a consciousness. Because I was trying to say, well, who or what or what's the shape? And I wasn't getting that. It was just a consciousness that is very, very old indeed. So we want to be aware of that. Other people have different takes on it. Again, that's where you kind of tune in and see how you think and feel about things. Reliably, we will have, governments and control systems applying plenty of fear porn to this event because that's their modus operandi. But we're seeing through that. We're waking up with that. We're being much more discerning as so much is being revealed to us. Very, very helpful, although indeed unpleasant at times. Now we head into the Venusian energy. Venus has been very active this month, and she's the artist and the instigator and the loving component in interpersonal relating. But on August 25th, Venus moves into Leo in the tropical chart. So we're seeing a shift away from this very deep Cancerian energy we've been in through much of the summer. And she'll be joining Mercury. She'll be transiting Leo until September 19th, and she forms supportive aspects with Saturn and Neptune and Uranus the remainder of this month. In sidereal, she is transiting Cancer and making similar connections. So there's a real blend here of stability and inspiration and openness to surprise in relationships, changing up your routine, creative work, money. But by August 27th, we are seeing her move into an opposition with Pluto. So this is always deep diving. So intensity can show up around the 27th in love, in finances, in revealing more power dynamics in your own life, as well as the world out there. Perhaps deep truths are experienced here. And honest conversations can be extremely healing, revelatory even. And in the sidereal zodiac, this takes place from Venus in Cancer to Capricorn. So this is tied to themes of, feeling stable and secure during these shifting power dynamics, Capricorn, especially with governments and corporations. We're seeing clearly, the corrupt and abusive power dynamics that were continuing to be shown from power centers. And this is again going to be highlighted at that full moon total lunar eclipse as it conjuncts a centaur planet called Nessus. And that centaur is all about betrayal and abuse patterns. So this may be in your own personal life, because that perfects on the 7th of September. And, in the macro, in the world out there, but also these patterns perhaps operating in your own life and circumstances, the micro. So that's very interesting that Nessus is very, very closely tied in to this total lunar eclipse in September. Now, from August 28th to September 16th, Uranus and Neptune are working together. It's a mix of new tools or approaches that actually fit your ideals and visions. Subtle, but this can be very useful. Turning one-day ideas into real next steps. Saturn, Neptune is also about finding a container for your creativity, for your intuition, for your artistry, bringing it down to earth, Saturn, and giving form to it. So these two combined can be very, very interesting for new approaches and grounding instincts and one-day ideas into next personal steps. Now, Mercury on August 31st finally heads out of Cancer, where he has been transiting since June 24th. And he went retrograde in Cancer mid-July. And it's been kind of an emotive, very family-oriented summer, though, too. So he will shift into Leo at the end of the month until September 16th, and he's moving very quickly now, very effectively. Communications get more of a heart-centered, creative boost. And in the tropical chart, Mercury is still in Virgo this month, keeping a focus on the detail and the precision of things. But across both systems, the theme is balancing structure and flexibility. That's the braiding, that's the interweaving of the energy this month. Structure and flexibility. And tropical energy highlights refinement and service. And the sidereal energy is highlighting creativity and courage and self-respect. And Uranus is going to make sure to keep things from getting stuck. Virgo's focus really supports Leo's boldness. And let Venus show you where, beauty and honesty belong in your life. And that easing Saturn-Neptune conjunction, which has been very disorienting for many, is going to give you a little bit more space to process recent endings and build something that feels softer, more fluid, and more like you. So this new moon is absolutely not about playing it safe. It's about noticing where your energy's gone flat, and be willing to adjust. It can help shake you out of a well-worn groove that's comfortable, but is becoming inefficient. And even if it means changing kind of the record completely. So set your intentions, work with this with both care and flexibility, and, be ready to move when inspiration shows up for you. Take good care.